would you define vulnerability? It's not something we talk about very often, but vulnerability can be kind of scary. Hello, I'm Dan Clark, and welcome to 2 Minutes of Inspiration. How would you define vulnerability? I mean, really think about it. How would you define vulnerability? Well, I define it this way. It's my willingness to feel the emotion when it shows up that's about me. I just don't have to tell you. I don't have to. Vulnerability isn't necessarily sharing with words what's true about me. It's feeling as if it's true in the moment. Vulnerability. Now, you can trust someone with your vulnerability, but if you trust yourself to feel it, it'll be more powerful. So this week, or maybe today, practice being more open about how you're experiencing what's happening around you and feel the emotions as they show up. And when you are in a vulnerable state, it helps you be more open to communication and talking about what's really true for you, and it builds trust in another person, even though you might not be saying exactly what you're thinking. So I promise, true vulnerability builds quality relationships. I love you. I'm Dan Clark. I was sitting with my sister the other day and was telling her that I have an ongoing dialogue in my head. Hello, I'm Dan Clark, and welcome to 2 Minutes of Inspiration. It's good to have you with me today. That ongoing dialogue is actually talking about what's happening around me. For example, the other day, I broke a French press. It was glass on the floor, and I'm thinking to myself, "You're so silly, Dan. You broke that. You know, it's okay. You are clumsy, and it's all right. You don't have to worry about it all. You'll get it cleaned up, right?" So I'm telling myself these things as I'm picking it up, and then I was thinking about what my brother would say to me, like, "You're so stupid. You're always clumsy." And I'm thinking, that's kind of interesting that I had those thoughts about my brother. That's because obviously he has said things to me in a negative way in the past, and they just showed up in my brain. And then I thought, well, wait a minute, I don't need to be thinking about that. Then I went back to, it's okay, and I cleaned it up. It was quite messy, by the way, because I got coffee grounds and coffee everywhere in the kitchen. Well, this thinking that we have about ourselves, this dialogue that we have, is always wired with past experiences. So if you start paying attention to the dialogue that you have in your head, and then actually either stop the dialogue or redirect the dialogue to something more positive or more productive, you can actually help how you actually react to things. I'm very seldom reactive, and I very seldom get really angry because I'm aware of my dialogue when it shows up, and I just move it to something that's actually more productive for me. That means that I'm not beating myself up over it. I'm just aware of it. I'm thinking, oh, goodness gracious, I can't believe I'm thinking that. And then I move to something that's either non-negative or turn into something positive. Practicing loving yourself is noticing the dialogue in your head and turning it into a positive dialogue. I love you. I'm Dan Clark.